Kata, a Japanese word, are detailed choreographed patterns of movements practiced either solo or in pairs. The term form is used for the corresponding concept in non-Japanese martial arts in general. Kata are used in many traditional Japanese arts such as theater forms like kabuki and schools of tea ceremony, but are most commonly known for the presence in the martial arts. Kata are used by most Japanese and Okinawan martial arts, such as aikido, judo, kendo and karate. Background: Kata originally were teaching and training methods by which successful combat techniques were preserved and passed on. Practicing Kata allowed a company of persons to engage in a struggle using a systematic approach, rather than as individuals in a disorderly manner. The basic goal of Kata is to preserve and transmit proven techniques and to practice self-defense. By practicing in a repetitive manner, the learner develops the ability to execute those techniques and movements in a natural, reflex-like manner. Systematic practice does not mean permanently rigid. The goal is to internalize the movements and techniques of a kata so they can be executed and adapted under different circumstances, without thought or hesitation. A novice's actions will look uneven and difficult, while a master's appear simple and smooth. Kata is a loanword in English from the 1950s in reference to the judo kata due to Jigoro Kano, and from the 1970s also of karate kata, but the word has come to be used as a generic term for forms in martial arts in general, or even figuratively applied to other fields. Japanese martial arts. In Japanese martial arts practice, kata is often seen as an essential partner to randori training, with one complementing the other. However, the actual type and frequency of kata versus randori training varies from art to art. In aikido, solo kata using the Japanese sword comprises almost all of the training, whereas in judo, kata training is emphasized and usually only prepared for downgrading. In kenjutsu, paired kata at the beginner's level can appear to be stilted. At higher level, serious injury is prevented only by a high sensitivity of both participants to important concepts being taught and trained for. These include timing and distance, with the kata practiced at high speed. This adjustability of kata training is found in other Japanese arts, with roles of attacker and defender often interchanging within the sequence. Many martial arts use kata for public demonstrations and in competitions, awarding points for such aspects of technique as style, balance, timing, and verisimilitude. Karate. The most popular image associated with kata is that of a karate practitioner performing a series of punches and kicks in the air. The kata are executed as a specified series of approximately 20 to 70 moves, generally with stepping and turning, while attempting to maintain perfect form. There are perhaps 100 kata across the various forms of karate, each with many minor variations. The number of moves in a kata may be referred to in the name of the kata, e.g., Gorju Shiho, which means 54 steps. The number of moves may also have links with Buddhist spirituality. The number 108 is significant in Buddhism and Hinduism, signifying the 108 ways the mind can behave, and kata with 54, 36, or 27 moves are common. The practitioner is generally counseled to visualize the enemy attacks and his responses as actually occurring, and karateka are often told to read a kata to explain the imagined events. Kata can contain techniques beyond the superficially obvious ones. The study of the meaning of the movements is referred to as the bunkai, meaning analysis, of the kata. One explanation of the use of kata is as a reference guide for a set of moves, not to be used following that set pattern but to keep the movements file. After learning these kata, this set of learned skills can then be used in a sparring scenario. The main objective here is to try out different combinations of techniques in a safe, practice environment to ultimately find out how to defeat your opponent. Recently, with the spread of extreme martial arts, or XMA, a style of kata called CMX kata has formed. These kata are performed in tournaments and include gymnastics-related elements such as backflips, cartwheels, and splits. These kata can also be performed with weapons. Judo has several kata, mostly created in the late 19th century by Kano Jigoro, the founder of judo. The judo kata involve two participants. Judo kata preserve a number of techniques that are not permitted in competition or in randori, including punches, kicks, and the use of the katana and other weapons. The study of kata is usually begun typically at around the green belt level. The most commonly studied judo kata is Nage no kata, which consists of 15 throwing techniques. The katame no kata is composed of pinning techniques, chokes, and joint locks. Hime no kata is a long kata consisting of self-defense techniques against both unarmed attacks and attacks with swords and knives. Non-Japanese martial arts. While the Japanese term is most well known in the English language, forms are by no means exclusive to Japan. They have been recorded in China as early as the Tang dynasty, and are referred to in Mandarin as Taolu. South and Southeast Asian martial arts incorporate both preset and freestyle forms. In Silent, these are referred to as juris and tari respectively. Malay folklore credits the introduction of forms to the Buddhist monk Bodhidharma. In Korean martial arts such as taekwondo and tangsudo, the word hyung or hyung is usually employed, though in some cases other words are used. The International Taekwondo Federation uses the word tal, while the World Taekwondo Federation uses the word pum. Are simply the English translations, pattern, or form. Taekwondo patterns have multiple variations including palgui and the more popular taeguk forms used by the WTF. Forms are included in certain Taekwondo competitions and are a key element of gradings. In Sanskrit, forms are known either as Udana or Pentra. Other Asian martial arts refer to forms by various terms specific to the respective languages, such as the Burmese word aka, the Vietnamese quen and the Kashmiri karwanke. In the historical European martial arts and the modern reconstructions, forms are referred to as plays, drills or flourishes. Outside martial arts, more recently kata has come to be used in English in a more general or figurative sense, referring to any basic form, routine, or pattern of behavior that is practiced to various levels of mastery. In Japanese language, kata is a frequently used suffix meaning a way of doing, with emphasis on the form and order of the process. Other meanings are training method and a formal exercise. Quote, "The goal of a painter's practicing it, for example, is to merge his consciousness with his brush, the potter's with his clay, the garden designer's with the materials of the garden. Once such mastery is achieved, the theory goes, the doing of a thing perfectly is as easy as thinking it." Kata is a term used by some programmers in the software craftsmanship movement. Computer programmers who call themselves software craftsmen will write kata, small snippets of code that they write in one sitting, sometimes repeatedly, or often daily, in order to build muscle memory and practice the craft. One of the things that characterize an organization's culture is its kata, its routines of thinking and practice. Edgar Schein suggests an organization's culture or helps it cope with its environment, and one meaning of kata is a way to keep two things in sync or harmony with with one another. A task for leaders and managers is to create and maintain the organizational culture through consistent role modeling, teaching, and coaching, which is in many ways analogous to how kata are taught in the martial arts.